Hello guys, welcome back. I am your faculty Sudarshan and your success mentor for your CMA examination. So in this video, we are trying to discuss a paper analysis of paper number 7 of CMA Inter. How you need to present your papers, what are the do's and don'ts, and at the end of the video, it will be going to be an eye opener for you, whether you want to focus on the income tax part or whether you want to focus on the GST part. If you prepare smartly, then I will tell you, you can easily score 60 marks in this paper. How I structured this? Before getting into this video, I just want to give you a certain information regarding this. We have started a free mentorship for CMA Inter December 2025 examination. This is a WhatsApp link, and WhatsApp link is also this is a QR code, and WhatsApp link is also given in the description below. You can see that and you can join in the group. Now, coming back with this discussion, first we will deeply understand the question pattern. What is the question pattern? They are continuously testing. They are asking the MCQ, which is basically we have taken a paper of a student who scored 80 marks. Okay, this is what the paper analysis and what the student had done. I will tell you. The paper pattern they are testing is 128 marks of 30 marks of MCQ, 98 marks of descriptive. On the 30 marks, they are asking one question is carrying 2 marks. So 15 questions to be tested. On that, 6 to 7 questions from income tax and 8 to 9 questions from the GST. Last time 6 questions from income tax MCQ and 9 questions from the GST MCQ. The student has scored 22 marks in the MCQ because the minimum marks you want to score in each and every paper of an MCQ should be minimum 20, maximum 30. Always the sky is a limit, 30 is the maximum limit you can score. The student have correctly answered for 5 question out of 6 question, and out of 9 question the student have answered 6 question. We, as I was a mentor for her, what I have structured them is we are keenly focusing on the income tax part. Why I will tell you, income tax question they are asking 8 question. We said and we decided we are going to write all the 8 questions. The student should attend. Whoever mentor under me will prepare mostly on the income tax part. Then coming to a GST part, they are only testing 6 questions. On that, we are keenly focusing on smartly. We are just going to attend 2 questions. Grabbing of full mark from the GST as compared to income tax is very less. Always they are giving more marks for that income tax portion as compared to the GST portion. Still, there are certain students those who are getting GST very good marks. But if you keenly focusing on income tax, as the trend is goes, the income tax audit fight between the professional bodies, that everything is going on there. So you should focus more on income tax. I will tell you one thing. Even in December 2025, as in June 2025, somehow the income tax paper, that is paper number 7, is slightly difficult. How that student of particularly scored 80 marks? I will tell you how you need to write. Okay. So in December 2025, the possibility of asking a taxation question in a high order thinking is very much possible. Okay. Now, coming back to that discussion, 2A is about residential status. Question is about the residential status and computation of a total income. They have clearly given ignore the sections of 115 BAC. Okay. Now we will directly go into the question of the student and we will see. This particular student have written question number 5A as a first. She thinks she may be good in question number 5A. But what happened in a reality? Whatever she know, she presented. They given 7 marks out of 5 marks. Do you guys believe? Total 10 questions to be attended. Each question carries 70 marks. You need to write a descriptive for 70. The always each and every rank holder whoever scored will attempt the paper for almost 100 marks. In that, the student whose paper we have taken, that student have taken 5 question full marks. 5 question full marks means 5 question 7 marks. The entire 7 on 7 she got. So 35 marks the student have easily grabbed it. Listen. Now 5A is about GTI and set off and carry forward, which is basically a gross total income and set off carried question. How you need to present the question. Whatever the question, you can just take the question paper and you can see that question number 5A. Yes. 5A, the computation part is given, some unabsorbed depreciation is there, speculative business is there, with different assessment year has been given, and we should carry that. Listen. First thing, computation of GTA of Mr. Sadanand of whose person for which assessment year under which regime you should write. Then you should open a column particulars amount income from salary, income from house property, income from PGBP. Basically that computation part, and in between less depreciation as per income tax rules, brought forward losses to be set off, and finally you should conclude that answer. And income from other sources, final answer came to wrong, so they deducted 2 marks, and you should given a proper note. Don't write like in a single page, sir. Only single page, sir. ICMA study material is only given in one page, sir. So we are also writing in the one page. So the institute will give marks. No, the institute will not give the marks. I will tell you. You should write it whatever the way it to be written. So losses to be carried forward, how many losses to be carried forward, what is the answer to be written, everything you should write. And what is a note you have taken. Loss from gambling is not allowed as it is set off against other income. Unabsorbed depreciation cannot be deducted under default tax regime. Short term capital losses can be used for the set off against long term capital gain. Loss from the speculative business can only be set off against income from speculative business. This is what the institute also expecting, so that only they are giving 2 marks for this note. Each note will carry point 0.5, point 0.5, point 0.5, so that the student has scored 5 marks. Now come to question number 5B. 5B, if that one particular student have written 5B, then that student having an enormous clarity in that income tax part. Because you know one thing, question number 5B is a trickiest one. Trickiest question, total income question, comparing of old versus new. See how much the student is knowledgeable with respect to 5B. 5B, they are given certain things. And what is the requirement of the question? You are required to calculate the total taxable income and the tax liability of Mr. Rajesh or the assessment year under a new default tax regime under section 115 BAC of Income Tax Act, and optional tax regime also you should calculate under the regular provisions of the act, under regular provision with the old regime of 1961 Act. Okay. And also advise which scheme is beneficial for him. Those who studied conceptually only can able to answer this question. Come out of the myth, guys. If you study only GST, you can easily pass. No, in GST there are only certain 2 modules where there is a direct theory questions will be tested on 6A and 6B. That only you can grab. For 7A, 7B, 8 and 8B, there is lots of things to be studied. Enormous things are to be studied for those 4 questions. But if you put enormous study on those income tax part, you can easily grab 8 marks. Now come to the presentations of the student we have taken. See, first thing, 5B. In computation of total income and tax liability of Mr. Rajesh for 925 assessment year 25-26 under optional tax regime. First thing, income from salary, income from house property, nil. PGGP, no. Sir, salaries is not given. We should write. Yes, we should write. Income from salary is nil. Income from house property is nil. PGGP. And income from garment business, income from capital gain, everything has to be written. And whatever has to be less, that to be written. Wherever possible, give section numbers. Basic income tax computation, rebate under 87A, and computations of that part. Then computation of a total income and tax liability of Mr. Rajesh for the assessment year 25-26 under default tax regime. That every computation should be written clearly and neatly and precisely along with section numbers. Okay, along with income tax computation. See how the student have done, even to the rounding of technique that student have done. That much of enormous clarity the student have studied from our faculty. So this is a tax liability. So it is beneficial for Mr. Rajesh to pay tax under the default tax regime, as this is a tax liability would be 95,470 against 1,50,670 under the optional tax regime, and thus saving 55,170. See how much the student have got. 6 marks. That's fine. Out of 7 marks, the student have scored 6 marks, means it's like good thing. Now come to the next question. The student have attended the next question. We'll see the next question the student have attended is question number 2A, which is basically question number 2A is about residential status. This is a question which is about the residential status. On the residential status, they are continuously testing you. Every attempt they are testing. How the student have neatly written. First, determination. Don't write simply residential status. Write the word determination of a residential status for whom? For which assessment here? An individual is said to be resident in India if he or she satisfy any one of the following basic condition. What are the basic condition? The individual must be stayed in India for a period of 182 days or more in the relevant previous year. In the relevant previous year, or the individual must have stayed in India for a period of 60 days or more in the relevant previous year, and the individual must be have stayed in India for a period of 365 days or more in the four present. 100% provisions have been written clearly and precisely. And computation of number of days, and the conclusion part, and what are the additional conditions to be met. Based on the additional condition, what are the days, and Mrs. what is the residential status and what is the ordinary resident or not, and then come to a computation of total income, so that you will get 7 on 7. If you are just writing, sorry, all the two basic conditions are satisfied, so is a resident. All the two additional conditions are satisfied, so it is a resident or not ordinary resident or not ordinarily resident. Then come to income tax computation, you will only get 3 mark. You will not get entire 7 mark. Understand that thing. Next, come to 2B. What is question number 2B is about? 2B is about a computation of house property, I guess. No, 2B is about salary. Salary also, the student has scored 6 mark. How you need to write the salaries question? Listen. Computation of income from salaries of Mr. Padman from assessment year under optional tax regime, basic salary computation, dearness allowance, house rent allowance, gift, annuity, gross salary. How beautifully the student have presented. The deductions under section 16, standard deduction of 50,000, net salary, on that the working note of HRA computation, everything has been written. Maybe here and there some note or assumptions can be left so that the student have got 6 mark. Then come to question number 3A. 3A, I guess it's about house property. See how important house property question. Computation of income from house property of Mr. Sonu for the assessment year 25-26 under a default tax regime. On that particular part, particulars to be written, and property A, let out property, gross annual value, deductions under section 24, 24A, 24B, self-occupied property under 24A, 24B. All the sections has been clearly written. Sir, still in sir, still the property bills are self-occupied. Can I write directly that it is not applicable? No, you should do this computation. Then come to a working note of gross annual value of property A. All the computation, standard rent, municipal value of fair rent, whichever is higher compared with standard rent, which becomes whichever is lower becomes your expected rent, compared with the actual rent and unrealized rent if any, and actual rent received will give you a GAB. Note 1, what are the notes they have taken, everything, so that you will precisely get 7 marks. See, step 1 and step 2 will fetch you. This is about step 2. This entire working note will have 4 mark. The presentation will have 3 mark. Let's now come to 3B. 3B is again PGGP question, guys. On that PGGP question, computations of income from profit or gains of business or profession of Mr. Ayush for the assessment at 25-26 under optional tax regime. This much of effort to be done in the starting itself. If you are writing computation of PGGP income of assessment year 25-26 under income tax act 19, don't write it. Anyhow, you are studying income tax act 1961. But you should write which regime, optional or regular. Net profit as per the profit and loss account, and then computation part, then working note, relevant working note block. You should create a block for depreciation and computation. Okay, and note 7 on 7. See, the student will feel so much of happiness when she presented, and the examiner also when they are correcting. See how beautifully the student have presented everything. Now come to 4A. 4A is about CG, capital gain question. She lost certain marks over the capital gain. The presentation should be like this, but the computation, whatever you want to compute, you can compute it correctly. The computation part and notes, she grabbed 3.5 marks out of 7 marks. That's also certain good marks for us. Then come to 4B. 4B is about IFOS, income from other sources. Under income from other sources, each and everything what to be written, everything to be written clearly and precisely, and wherever necessary, 11 notes to be written, so that you will be grabbing 7 on 7. See, writing of notes is very much mandatory. How much? Very much mandatory. Very much mandatory. If you are not writing notes, you will surely will not get the mark, guys. Come to question number 6A, we have only written 6A from the GST portion, which is basically a direct tax, difference between indirect tax, meaning sub basis should be written, meaning nature, impact, example, tax evasion, burden, inflation, authority. One question from this module anyhow will be there, that is introductions of GST, understanding of GST, how the what is a GST, what is the concept of indirect taxes, and introduction of GST. Two questions will be there. That only we have concentrated. We have even studied for a backup. We have studied customs also. Okay, 7 on 7. Next, 6B. 6B, the recommendation that can be made on the Goods and Service Tax Council, the rate of GST to be levied, date on which the petroleum products, that other whatever the point she knows she written. She just got 2 marks. That's fine. That's it. For minimalistic writing, maximum of income tax and minimum of GST will fetch you how many marks the student have scored. See, 6 question. Out of 5 questions she have presented, so 5 into 2, which will give you 10. On that 56 marks from direct taxation, the student has scored 48.5 marks. See how much accuracy she maintained. And out of 2 questions she presented, she just grabbed 9 marks. So 56 48.5, which will give you 58.5 marks from the DT. Possibility of scoring is high, and 9 marks she scored from the GST plus 6 MCQs into 12, which is even 21 marks. So that I guess I have committed wherever some mistake is there. So that 58, no, 58.5 plus 21.21, which will give you 79.5. Approximately the mark is going to be 80 mark. C. 58 will always be having a more weightage than 21. Okay. So the thing is, you can easily focus on income tax rather than spending much time on the GST. Income tax is easy if you studied in a right way with the right approach. What institute has coming for us to tell regarding the examiner comment summary? Examiner comment summary for paper number 7. What is the conclusion? A separate publication covering each chapter with step-by-step learning, enabled examples or worked out illustration, followed by self-solving exercise may be brought out to make the students to practice writing of answers. What institute is telling, the student are not even in a right position to write the answers properly. They should practice from a separate publication from different each chapters. You can use the different modules to understand what is to be done. And the performance of the students was average. It is not that too poor, it's average. This could be attributed to the lack of preparation and understanding of legal provision itself, as there is a regular provision, that's a old tax regime, and the optional default tax regime is there. There will be a conclusion will arise. So they should have in-depth knowledge is required. My recommendation is study from CA material for income tax especially. To a certain extent, I should also prescribe to follow GST material, because the material having a highest quality. ICA material will have a highest quality, so that you can follow that material. Okay, there are very much examples are there in CMA material also. You can also focus on CMA material for examples. For numericals perspective, you can focus on more on CA. Okay, then the student should cover each chapter with step-by-step learning, enabled examples, worked out illustration, followed by self-solving to make the same point. Institute will also commit a mistake na, so that they got copy paste the point, but it is that first 1 or 2 points is completely fine. So my suggestion is what you guys need to do for this December 2025, or if you are watching this video for June 2026 also. First, focus more on the income tax part. Okay, choose a right mentor, choose a right faculty for you. Focus on that. Even that faculty is taking for CA material, just learn it. Then practice it for CA examination. Two things to be done. One is understanding of conceptual learning from the provisions, how to be studied from the Barak perspective or from the module perspective. And then you should focus on the writing practice from the CMA past paper question. Then that practice you should take. Two ways approach you should be. Conceptual learning from CA, exam oriented practice from the CMA will fetch you full marks, guys. With this, signing off of Sudarshan. Have a great day.